After an absolute dogfight of a Game 7, the Golden State Warriors now have 1 day of rest as they go to fight the young Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves in what could be another absolute dogfight of a second round, or could see them eliminated in 5. The Warriors' path has not gotten any easier to actually winning a championship. Now facing the young Minnesota Timberwolves, who have guys like Jaden McDaniels, who is going to make Steph's life miserable, is going to determine everything. So today we talk about the question that matters the most. Can the Warriors actually beat the Minnesota Timberwolves in the second round? And the first thing we need to look at is Steph and his shots, right? We're going to look through some of his shots here from last night's Game 7, right? And how many of these, tough takes can Minnesota help replicate? Because if Steph is struggling, this Warriors team is in danger. Now, I know last night Buddy Hield had the game of his life, but that is not a guarantee against a team like Minnesota, or just at all. I mean, again, Buddy Hield is a role player. One night he can give you that 33 points. Another, he could give you 3 points. So again, looking at some of the tough shots now, right? Like some of these are going to be open shots. Like the way the Warriors play around Steph, they're going to create open looks, but they're never going to be easy, right? And again, now Steph gets the ball there wide open, right? And some of these are shots that will go in and the Wolves cannot afford. However, if you are the Golden State Warriors, that too big system could kill you, right? I mean, the Rockets had been doing more than enough in terms of stuff like that. And again, B-Pos tries to get the shot out. Jalen Green closes out a little late. But again, some of these are just lucky misses in terms of, for the Rockets. But again, Draymond action, stuff like this, like they're going to have to be more immediate actions taken for this team if they really want to win. Because Jaden McDaniels has held Steph to about 33 or 34% from the field in the 4 games they have played this year. Which means that Jaden McDaniels in some way, shape, or form has had Steph Curry's number. So again, this team is not going to change that, right? Like Jimmy and Draymond are going to help them defensively against a team like the Wolves for sure. But none of that is going to change the tough night that Jaden McDaniels is going to give to that team. Again, you have guys like Dylan Brooks making Steph uncomfortable, right? Trying to get these shots up. And that's the other problem. The Wolves love to play physical. So that is not going to help this Warriors team that at times tries to be more finesse, tries to be, a little bit more speedy. When they did try and get in the down and gritty, things got a little tough for them. So again, for Steph, if you're the Warriors, you need to try and make his life as easy as possible. Is it going to be easy? No, he's Steph Curry. Guys are going to double him. I mean, in this Rockets series, we literally saw with a Jimmy Butler open, Buddy Hield, who had a hot night, they still led with the double on Steph and said anybody else is going to beat us. So again, now you got to make sure too, don't let Steph start to get downhill and comfortable getting downhill. Now, even though you do have a guy like Rudy there, right? Like Rudy is going to be a great rim protector. You need to make sure that Steph doesn't get into trouble. I think that's the big thing. Make Steph's life easier and you can have a real shot at this series. If Jaden McDaniels is having his way with Steph, this series can be over very, very, very quickly. If I'm the Warriors, the other thing I'm trying to do is make sure that Jimmy is consistently attacking downhill. The midi is okay because, again, like he's a good mid-range shooter. But do not let Jimmy become oversettle for threes. Again, he wants to get downhill. You want him to force guys to get in foul trouble, which is important for a team like Minnesota. But man, I'm telling you now, if Jimmy is not, going downhill all the time and playing uber aggressive, it's going to get ugly for the Warriors, because in games like Game 6, Jimmy was left, mind you, wide open from 3. Like they had no problem leaving him open. Obviously, he was 1 for 6 in Game 6. Like Jimmy has been a decent 3-point shooter throughout his career, but it's been shown that the 3-point shot is not something that will consistently fall. So if you are the Wolves, you're going to say, okay, that's fine. Obviously, once in a while, he's going to take a 3. But Jimmy Butler, you need to make sure that again, if you're the Warriors, you need to get him downhill. Now, I think that's actually going to be easier done because of how they're going to probably treat Steph. Because Steph is going to be treated in a different method, that things are going to be played differently. However, if Jimmy is left open for 3, he is a player who has that, extreme level of confidence that he will take those threes. And I do think that will bail the Timberwolves out. So I think at the end of the day, you need to make sure that Jimmy's actually taking the threes that are needed. Because again, some of these threes he did get, you're looking at him and you're like, Jimmy, did you, like, at what point do you recognize the shot's not falling, right? And if he settles for something like this against the Wolves, right, those little push-up shots or whatever, they're not all gonna fall, obviously. But again, you have 8 seconds. Steven Adams, he's going, right? Now, if you got a guy like Rudy there, I do think Rudy can still be, I think Rudy's going to be key for this series if you're the Warriors. You need to try and get him in foul trouble, because if not, I do believe his rim protection can be something very deadly for that Warriors team who has tried to get downhill more and more ever since they've gotten Jimmy, especially because, again, it helps Jimmy get to the line and it forces, defenses to play more honest and, not settle for certain matchups. So again, that is going to be important if you are the Warriors. Ultimately, the other thing I think that's going to be extremely important if you are the Warriors is stopping guys like Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid. Because I think it's obvious that, Rudy is going to probably be guarded in air quotes by Draymond, and he can kind of, float off, switch around at times. But I think Jimmy's going to be on Ant. So at that point, you really have to hope that the others do a good job, because you get moments like this with Ant, right? He's going to go downhill, right? And the Warriors are another small ball team, which is going to be, very, very bad for the Warriors. Minnesota and Chris Finch have shown they are more than willing to go small along with that small ball team, except they're going to punish you more. Like, they are going to be more flexible. So with someone like Ant, who's going to try and go downhill, so Draymond has to stay. Draymond can't just completely go off to the perimeter. Jimmy is going to have a tough time with guys like Ant. It's going to be a tough time. So Jaden McDaniels is a key. If they can stop Jaden McDaniels and make him extremely ineffective, then Ant has to continue to chuck. Then this Warriors team has a real chance. But if not, if he continues to get these open threes, if he can continue to get good lanes, at that point, I don't know what you do. Again, this is great look, put back, right? McDaniels is always going to give you a high effort play. And again, we know what McDaniels does when he's against Steph, at least according to the stats this year. He has put Steph in Azkaban. Shout out to Harry Potter fans if you know. But either way, that boy has been locking up. So again, look here, close out, Naz to McDaniels. Again, you need to make sure the others do not get involved early, because if Jaden McDaniels is hitting, if Naz Reid is hitting, things are gonna get really, really ugly if you're the Warriors, right? Like, even if you just look at that shot again, the collapse here I can see in a Warriors series happening, because again, you don't want Ant to get going, because again, that's a star to superstar caliber player. Well, if he gets hot, it can get really ugly. So again, I think they need to make sure that Jaden McDaniels is an offensive non-factor. He is a non-threat. He is just going to be your basically take away a two-sided nature of his game. Force him to be a defensive menace and really make him work if he is going to try and guard Steph for however long in this series. That's going to be key for the Warriors. So ultimately, we come back to the beginning of the video. Can this Warriors team beat the Minnesota Timberwolves? Of course, technically, I don't want to get nasty. Well, Emster, anything is possible. Well, yeah, duh. Anything is technically possible. But we're talking about, like, do you realistically see this team taking out the Timberwolves? I'm honestly going to say no, but I do think it's going to be harder than I'm sure, like, NBA Twitter will suggest. Because, again, I do think they can make Ant's life miserable as well. But I think at the same time, if Curry continues to have some of these offensive woes against the Timberwolves, I'm not sure if Jimmy's going to be consistently good enough offensively, or just going to put the absolute clamps on Ant or Randall or, Dante or Naz. Or that's the other thing. The Warriors being a small ball team, you're going to, I don't know. Steve Kerr doesn't like sometimes doing lineup adjustments for whatever reason, or if he does, it's just out of left field and it makes no sense. But he does not like putting in Kevon Looney. But I think against someone like Rudy, you're going to need him, because Rudy can horse this team. And if he does, this team is going to get in deep, deep waters, and they are not going to be good, and it's going to be real ugly. If you ask me personally, I do have the Wolves winning this series, probably in 6. I think the Warriors might steal a game or two. I don't be surprised if they get blown out next game. They're exhausted. I mean, they had to play all the starters for all 4 quarters. Obviously not like 48 minutes straight, but still, this team is going to be gassed. So, and Minnesota's got fresh legs. They can go, they can run, they can attack. But I do think things can get a little ugly for this Warriors team. So let me know what you guys think down below. Does the Minnesota Timberwolves have this Warriors team number? Do you guys think the Warriors are going to come in, shock the world, beat the Timberwolves, get to another conference finals? As always, guys, this was Mr. Knows Hoops. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Have a beautiful rest of your day, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.